Vanderbilt will be without 4 key players today, including DJ Harvey, who had started game 1, the Notre Dame transfer. Also Jordan Wright, Miles Stewart, Quavon Brown out for tonight's game. It's a Vanderbilt team that hasn't been on the floor for quite some time. After the miss, Scottie Pippen Jr. with the rebound. Let's take a look at the starting lineups. Brought to you by Farm Ridge, and Tyron Lawrence, a true freshman from Georgia, inserted into the lineup for the first time. Corner 3 off the front of the rim.
Mississippi Valley State will shoot a lot of threes on their end. Expect the Commodores to stay mostly in man-to-man defensively.
Here's a look at the starters for Mississippi Valley State, brought to you by Farm Ridge. They're outscored by 45.5 points a game this season. A team that went 3-15 in the SWAC last year under first-year head coach Lindsey Hunter. Turned over, and a breakaway jam thrown down by Cameron Cunningham Jr. from Greenville, South Carolina, out of Daytona State.
And Cunningham's the one that's been the most explosive as far as putting big numbers on a game. 24 against Wyoming, 23 against Western Kentucky. You want to see how Vanderbilt comes out, Tom, and do they play with a purpose early? Mississippi State Valley, there's been a lot of lopsided scores, so do the players for Vanderbilt take them a little lightly? We'll see what happens.
Vanderbilt obviously heavy favorites in this one. Breakout, and Tyron Lawrence with his first bucket. It's a two-hand jam.
Sat out the first game because of a groin injury. Left-handed, solid player, hard worker, rewarded for his hard work by being inserted into the starting lineup.
Chatted with Jerry Stackhouse before the game today. Went through the difficulties that Vanderbilt was having. He said, listen, no one's going to feel sorry for us. This isn't a woe is me, as the coach's son tried to scoop one up, and that's blocked away by Dylan Dissou. But Stackhouse is a guy that said, we scheduled this game for a lot of different reasons. He was a teammate with Lindsey Hunter back in the Detroit Pistons days, and with a Black Lives Matter movement over the course of the summer, they said we wanted to make sure that we scheduled at least one HBCU program. Vandy has never lost to an HBCU program. And a turnover for Mississippi Valley State. Jerry Stackhouse, the youngest of 11, growing up in Kinston, North Carolina, second season as a head man at Vandy. Those two guys, Stackhouse and Hunter, were fighting for playing time with the Pistons back in the day when Jerry first came over from the 76ers.
Two guys have put in a lot of years, 18 years for Stackhouse in the NBA, and Hunter put in 17 years. Always incredible your body can hold up that long at that pace. Last year I thought Stackhouse did an admirable job with Vanderbilt after Neesmith went down. Aaron Neesmith, a first-round draft pick. Started the year, they were playing well early, and then he got hurt right at the start of the SEC play, and it was a tough road for the Commodores ever since.
Back-to-back lottery picks for Vandy between Neesmith and Darius Garland, going 5th to Cleveland the year prior. Coach's son, Caleb Hunter, 4th in the league in scoring last year in the SWAC. He carried the load. There's a massive roster turnover for this Mississippi Valley State team. This is a Delta Devil team that's been to 5 NCAA tournaments, and they lost 9 players off of last year's squad, and they have 9 new players now this season. There's a graphic, and there's action now on the floor.
Tom, you mentioned Garland and Neesmith. You know, lottery picks or first-round picks, I should say, and they didn't really play much at Vanderbilt.
Yeah. It's a shame. The Vanderbilt fans were robbed of maybe 2 of the best players that the program would have seen, and it remains to be seen what they do at the next level. A Vanderbilt turnover. A little sloppy here early for the Commodores, which is what you would expect for a team that's coming off of 4 game cancellations already this season.
And it happens. You haven't had enough players at times to scrimmage. Coach Stackhouse told us this morning that, you know, there's a lot of different ways. You had some guys could work out for a bit, some one-on-one worked out, finally got small groups together, and little by little they had a full squad.
A little leaner by Caleb Hunter. Caleb Hunter's got that 40-year-old YMCA game. This is a guy been around the game for a long time. When his dad was playing for the Pistons and they won the World Championship, he brought him down from the stands in Auburn Hills, had him on the floor. 3-ball is off the mark. Here's a coach's son now, open floor, going to throw up a 3. He is not shy.
Preseason all SWAC conference team. Much like his dad, who was a SWAC Player of the Year back in 92-93 at Jackson State.
Down the lane, and a blocking foul will be on Caleb Hunter. That is his first. Low scoring start to this one. Mississippi Valley State looking for its first win of the season, and a couple seasons after, before Hunter was subsequently traded to Milwaukee.
Spoken like a true NBA player, though, right? If that guy's playing ahead of me, what is my career going?
Scottie Pippen with the 3 from the corner. Both teams have turned the ball over 3 times. A little sloppy here early on, which is really the only thing seemingly that slowed down Vanderbilt so far today.
And remember, the Delta Devils will shoot a lot of 3s, not there. So there'll be a lot of long rebounds, and we'll see if Vanderbilt pushes the tempo a little bit. That is where Mississippi Valley State has struggled. Teams have scored a lot of points.
Quentin Malora-Brown in the paint, kicks it out. Pippen challenge 3 is off the mark. Nice dish. Dylan Dissou with the finish. You mentioned, Sonny, Mississippi Valley shooting a lot of 3s. They lead the nation in percentage of points from 3s. 58% of their points come from behind the arc. That doesn't mean that they're a great shooting team.
Correct.
But they shoot a lot of them.
You don't have to make as many when they're 3 versus 2, as Bruce Pearl would always say. But if you hit a few, and they've made already 3 of them or 2 of them this afternoon, off to a good start. What's been happening, though, they've had a lot of misses in these early games this season. Somewhat of a new squad with all their new faces. That they've had a lot of long rebounds. A lot of teams have been able to run and score on the other end.
They're giving up an average of 105.5 points a game. They've been outscored by 45 points per game this season. Trey Thomas has entered the game for Vanderbilt.
A lot of good spacing by this Mississippi Valley State team on offense. So there's a lot of room to drive the ball. Driving and kicking, and they will stretch Vanderbilt as much as they can on the defensive end.
Power move inside. Malora-Brown couldn't finish. Should be a huge advantage for Vandy in the paint.
Malora-Brown's got good hands, good feet. They're going to take him outside, though. He's not going to be able to sit inside on the defensive end.
Turnaround jumper off the mark. Rebounded by Trey Thomas. Push up ahead. And Scottie Pippen Jr. the second bucket of this game. Mississippi Valley also one of the tops in the country in tempo. Now that goes 2 ways, Sonny. They give up a lot of fast break points, as you mentioned, on the long rebounds, which is why opponents are averaging over 100 points a game against them. They take quick shots and they give up quick shots. And we're going to hold inside on Devin Gordon, his first.
The ability to maybe allow Pippen to run the floor and get open buckets when you insert other players like Trey Thomas, the lead guard there. Rebound, Pippen Jr. can run, finish. Time you go back to tempo. You know, there are some teams, I remember Nolan Richardson used to always want to get the tempo fast. He didn't even care if the other team made a few layups. Now, he was coaching great squads. That's a difference. If you don't have the ability, if your team's not able to do it defensively, you might struggle. Mike Anderson's the same way now that he was a coach at Arkansas and Missouri, and now at St. John's. He's not fearful of giving up a few easy buckets, but he's been able to coach teams that can score on the offensive end.
Vanderbilt 4 of 10 to start this game. Dylan Dissou, one of the captains, along with Scottie Pippen Jr. off the mark. Ezekiel Bina has entered the game for Vandy.
Vanderbilt's not necessarily an old team like we've seen, and we have a couple in the league. But I'll say they're a veteran team. The guys have been around. Even if it's only their second or third year and they've got a couple transfers. We won't see DJ Harvey today, the transfer from Notre Dame. But Malora Brown came from Rice. He was there last season during practice. So it's a team with, again, not old guys, but veteran players.
Hunter slices in. Obina will corral the rebound. And Isaac McBride transferred from Kansas, where he sat out last season, left the Jayhawk program after arriving in June and September. I think he can be a go-to scorer in this league. Obina.
Yeah, a natural shooter, McBride is.
Vandy going to trap, and Hunter nearly threw it away. Little floater and a nice shot. Mississippi Valley with a 3-point lead.
Devin Gordon, the freshman. And when we see all these faces for Vanderbilt, remember, it's only their second game. Very few scrimmages. Very few full practices with the full team. We'll see a lot of different players play for Jerry Stackhouse. Very different combinations.
Hunter harassed all the way out to midcourt. Obina out there trapping him. And a Mississippi Valley turnover. It's the Delta Devils with them or not. Maybe they do. It certainly was great for talk radio and all the podcasts over the weekend talking college hoops.
Well, it's a competitive world, Tom, and I think young coaches were fine with it. Older coaches, Jim Boeheim and others that have been around and friends of Coach K, were not happy with it. But it is what it is.
Traylon Smith has knocked down a couple of threes. It's the largest lead of the season for Mississippi Valley State. Up 6.
Matchup 2-3 zone defense. And Vanderbilt keeps missing shots. And the Delta Devils have one and done. They can go work on the offensive end where they are stretching Vandy out. Even the bigs for Vandy have to lift and get away from the hoop, which allows more freedom to offensive rebound, to cut, to pass.
Corner 3, and that's good. Knocked down by Trey Thomas.
So Vandy now 2 of 9 beyond the three-point line. 9 of their 14 shots have been three-pointers.
Vandy will push now. Down 3. Another corner 3 from Thomas. A rebound taken down by Traylon Smith, Mississippi native in his first year. They're really sharing the basketball well, and that 3's off the mark by Alex Perry. Pippen gets a bump on his way in, and that'll be the first on Ronald Williams, junior from Killeen, Texas.
Pippen's got a good ability to stop and go, change directions, change speeds, and when you can do that, you make defenders kind of get on their heel, and even big guys. Watch the hesitation when he gets to the big guy. Fake of a crossover.
Pippen will roll the first one home. He's got a half dozen. Talking with Stackhouse before the game today. He's like, Scotty's got a button. He can flip it on, and he can turn his game on at any time. And what they've been working with him is to have a better understanding for when we need you to take bad shots and when they don't fit into the game. And by bad shots, we mean where you're the only option.
Yeah, the idea, and Stack said it, eliminate marginal shots and plays. If you become the leader of a team, you're the one that's got to be understand what's a good shot for your whole squad, not just yourself. Well, let's be honest. He hasn't played. I mean, he played one season so far at the collegiate level.
Yeah.
Not an easy chore to all of a sudden say, this is your team, you're the leader out there.
Part of that famous Sierra Canyon squad in Los Angeles. Donald's All-American. 3-ball good. And Vandy out in front. Knocked down by McBride, his first bucket. It's a Mississippi Valley team that opened its season with a loss at Arkansas, 142-62. They gave up 116 to North Texas. They gave up 97 to Wyoming. And their lowest scoring opponent was Grand Canyon. That was 88. Memphis scored 94 on them last time out.
Yeah, that 142 number doesn't usually help your overall statistics. You'd like to kick that one out of there, but still the numbers are high. Vandy's going with a quicker lineup, and probably defensive reasons. Got a lot of different guards out front that can defend a little better than they were early in this game.
Doors on an 8-0 run. Albina, drop step, lost it on his way up. And a travel. And Cameron Cunningham gives it right back. Lindsey Hunter not too happy. Second season there. He played in the NBA for a long time. Made it to the playoffs 12 of his 17 seasons as an NBA player. He mentioned he was the SWAC player of the year at Jackson State. He was also the freshman of the year in the SWAC at Alcorn State. Spent 1 year at Alcorn and then transferred.
Made the transfer, scored over 2,200 points in the Jackson State uniform.
Offensive board. And a foul on the rebound. It'll be on Alex Perry. That's thrown shoe last night. Sonny, have you ever seen anybody throw a shoe in the middle of an athletic contest?
No, I've not. No, I have not, and caused their team to lose. Incredible.
Cost the SEC spot in the playoff. Corner three off the mark by Thomas, and that bucket will go. And Isaac McBride, no, it won't go. Excuse me. Offensive foul on McBride.
Yeah, I think he watched the left arm when he extends it. A late whistle, late arm push, but probably a good call. Very normal for a smaller player when he goes inside. McBride goes at 6'1".
Vandy on an 8-0 run. Scoring drought for Mississippi Valley State continues, but Vandy hasn't been able to extend their lead after coming from behind down 6 at one point.
Trey Thomas, very good on-ball defender. He's changed the game a little bit on the defensive end for the Commodores.
Rush three. Offensive board, though. And then stripped away by Scottie Pippen Jr. Very few points in the paint for Vandy, but Quentin Malora-Brown, the transfer from Rice, gets one to go. And 28 starts for the Owls. Third in Conference USA in field goal percentage while there. Pippen overshot his man, and the layup came on the underside of the rim. And an opportunity for Vanderbilt to close the half on a tear with 6.5 to go.
Good pass.
Lower Brown keeps it alive. Three ball good. Brayley Albert. Sophomore out of Los Angeles.
Vanderbilt gives you a little bit about what they like to do. 15 of their 22 field goal attempts beyond the three-point line. They've made 4 of the 15.
Vanderbilt turnover. Disappointed we don't get a look at, among others, DJ Harvey in this game. The transfer from Notre Dame sat out last season, where he was a 11-point-a-game scorer as a sophomore. And Jerry Stackhouse talked about Harvey's a guy who's anxious to get out there for his next game after he was, oddly enough, had some nerves in game 1 when he turned it over 5 times. He's one of 4 players not available for Vanderbilt in this game, not injury or suspension related.
It was interesting when Jerry Stackhouse said he kind of fills the role for us that Aaron Nesmith had. So that means score, solid player on both ends.
It's big shoes to fill.
Yeah, it really is.
Hunter. Beautiful mid-range game. That's the second one he's made as a floater.
Back to the matchup zone, see if they can get to the shooters. Vandy will space you out. And again, they will shoot a lot of threes, and they've got them spread out on the floor on the offensive end.
Pippen goes around Hunter and drops in the mid-range. He's got 9.
He has a terrific release on his shot. Comfortable deep, comfortable mid-range, comfortable around the rim. Shot a decent percentage last year at times, 39% from the field. He was, like most freshmen, up and down, 36% beyond the three-point line.
Big answer by Mississippi Valley. There were nearly 6 minutes between points, and then Hunter and now Gordon have knocked down a couple. There's a Vandy answer. Disu's first long range.
Stepped right in it. Zone defense pointing on the wings. They forgot about the guy up top. So Disu just simply knocked it in. He has improved his range over the summer. A lot of work on his jump shot.
And then he got extended and commits his first personal foul.
So Disu goes at 6'9", so he's out front, and all the defenders are pointing to the wings and picking up others. Dillon simply stepped up and knocked in his first of the season on three-point line. He was 0 for 3 last time out against Valpo.
Mississippi Valley has knocked down 8 threes. Vandy has hit 10. Tough angle falling away. Disu with the long rebound. No numbers. Good swing, and then the shot got blocked, but Vandy sticks with it. And Malora Brown will kick it out. Deep 3. Transition defense. Jerry Stackhouse says slow it down.
You know, you've got to like the unselfishness of Vanderbilt. They've missed a lot of looks. They share the basketball well. They've had open looks. They just haven't finished it. Haven't shot the ball well this afternoon.
7 assists on 10 made field goals for Vandy. I don't know if that was a shot or a pass.
Initially, I thought shot until his teammate came in. Good pass.
Couple buckets for Tyron Lawrence in this one. Go with 3 dimes. Seventh turnover of the game for the Delta Devils. What a wild week of football coming up, Sonny. You got a championship game at night, and you got 4 other games to lead into it.
Yeah, rare. It's 2020, right? Rare things are happening, and pay attention to all the games and have fun and enjoy, and then sit down and sit back for the SEC championship game. Obviously, the Gators aren't coming in there with a good frame line. But I don't think Bama cares.
No, they do not. Corner 3 is off the mark. I want to talk to you as a guy who shot the ball well throughout his playing career. And we had this talk with Konzo Martin a couple of days ago about the value of the corner three, whether it be in the NBA or in the college ranks, and we've seen Vandy really leaning on it with a majority of their shots coming from that near side corner. How is that, and why is that more valuable than other threes?
Well, it's not more valuable. It's the same. It counts the same. Now, it's a little bit shorter. It can be a little bit shorter at times, but it stretches a defense is harder to get there. So if you're a defender and you have to help and recover from a guy driving from either the wing or from up top, your recovery is longer to that wing position only because of where the angle of the drive is coming from. So that's why you'll see a lot of offenses when they raise up the defender from down low. You'll see a lot of shots from the corner.
Mississippi Valley trying to do it, and they turn it over. I don't know. Maybe we're onto something. Maybe that shot should be worth 3 1/4, 3 1/2.
You don't get many favorable bounces from the corner. I'll say that as a shooter. I mean, you either knock it in or you don't. You rarely get one that bounces a couple times and may hit the glass and go in. You get that bounce from other angles.
7-0.
We'll go 3 1/4 for you. How's that?
All right.
You keep track of all that. Tell me at halftime what the score is.
There'd be no math involved. Run out. Wow, another big time jam thrown down by the Delta Devils. And that's what Cameron Cunningham can do well.
Yeah, nobody back defensively, and we've seen Cunningham already. Athletic, 6'7", runs the floor well, can shoot it.
They had a game in Laramie early this season against Wyoming, and Cunningham had 18 in the first half of that one. There's a corner three. Give him 3 1/4. This year with his second triple of the game. And your senior, who played 14 minutes in the opener against Valpo. That was a second half run to close the game for Vandy. They scored 23 out of the last 35 points in that game for a 6-point victory in their only previous game this season.
Well, the impressive part of that game is when they made the comeback. They made 23 of 27 free throws. Vandy did. So what looked like it could be a tough night, maybe a loss, that run that you talked about, a victory for the Commodores.
Jerry Stackhouse was talking about the games that they missed. It started with a cancellation versus UConn on December 1st. And he said it's not just the time on the floor, but the opportunity for measurement games to figure out exactly where they are as Disu throws down his third 3 of the game. And those games would have come against UConn, maybe USC or BYU. At SMU was canceled. North Carolina Central against one of his good friends in a very good program was supposed to have been played on Friday.
Doesn't allow for the coaching staff of Vanderbilt to have yet too much of a feel about where their team stacks up in a couple weeks when SEC play starts. And we know the league's going to be good. Top to bottom, it's going to be tough to find wins. Obviously different this year with very few fans when you go on the road.
Busy day for the league yesterday. I thought that you saw maybe the best team in the league so far. Well, a really good resident. Missouri knocked off previously undefeated Illinois yesterday as Scottie Pippen Jr. gets his first bucket of the half.
Yeah, Illinois 6th ranked, and I think Conzo Martin feels he's got a team that can play for the championship of the SEC and should be ranked high, and I would probably expect when the rankings come out they'll be in the top 20 somewhere. Good win yesterday by Auburn over Memphis.
Yep. That Illinois team was coming off of a double-digit win on the road at Duke, and we'll see Quentin Malloy-Brown at the free throw line. The big story yesterday within the SEC and continuing today remains the health of Florida star Keontae Johnson. He remains in critical but stable condition today at Tallahassee Memorial Hospital after collapsing in the first half of the Gators game against Florida State. Mike White is back in Tallahassee staying with Keontae, and his parents, they announced, have also arrived at the hospital. So thoughts and prayers continue with Keontae Johnson and his entire family for a speedy recovery as Malloy-Brown knocks down 2 free throws.
Yeah, let's hope he's okay. Leonard Hamilton, who is an outstanding human being and basically offered if the game should be called off at that point, he would have done it. Coach at Florida State.
As you can imagine, Mike White wasn't available to meet with the media after the game, and so we did not hear from the Florida coach. Disu with another triple. He's got 14 now. But a very scary moment between those two rivals. And it obviously and directly impacted Keontae's teammates, not just at the moment, but throughout the game.
Yeah. Hard to see when a teammate goes down. And also, you know, the Florida State players were in tears. So, you know, they all play the same game. And when someone goes down, just collapses. Everybody's taken back. And we hope the young man's going to be okay.
Vandy loving that corner three. Rebound put back up and in by Lawrence. He's got 6 now.
Tom Disu's ability at 6'9" to go outside. He's hit 4 3-pointers this afternoon, 4 of 8. Makes Vanderbilt a much better offensive team.
And this Vanderbilt team has opened up a 22-point lead now in the Delta Devils. And one of only 4 teams to actually see action in the SEC tournament before college basketball was shut down.
Tom, let's, you know, we go back and think of when we were in Nashville, how many teams came into Nashville and thought they had a chance to make some noise. There were a lot of teams that were playing well coming in. And we only had one afternoon, and then the world changed.
That's it. You know, one of those teams was Kentucky. And Kentucky in the first half yesterday looked maybe as bad as they've looked all season. Caleb Hunter from deep. And then in the second half, they battled. They shut down Notre Dame. They outscored Notre Dame 37-16 in the second half. And they're an Olivier Sarr mid-range jumper away from capping a monster comeback. What's your, from an analyst level, where is your concern with Kentucky at this point in the season?
Well, I don't get too crazy about it. I do know this. Defensively, they're not where they want to be. They may not be as talented as some Kentucky teams we've seen offensively. So what normally Cal does, and I heard his press conference yesterday when I watched the second half of that game when they made their comeback. If he can get them defensively, because they're long, they're athletic, that will take care of a lot of their problems. He can interchange different parts. He can get guys shooting the ball better or get guys in there that value the basketball. Coaches can do that. But if they do it defensively, like they did yesterday against Notre Dame, and shut off areas, pay attention to scouting reports, make sure they're all on the same page. And I think what happens after a game like yesterday, Cal said it in his press conference. Early on, they had 1 or 2 guys not paying attention to anything they did on the scouting report. Well, those guys lose minutes in his system. And I think they'll be fine January, February. Every year, Kentucky's Kentucky.
Great shot by Max Evans with body control getting into the rim. Tennessee is now 2-0. They held off Cincinnati 65-56 yesterday in Knoxville. John Fulkerson with a double-double, 15 and 12.
And the Volunteers, their defense looks like it's ahead of its offense. They were solid on the defensive end against Cincinnati. Offensively still a little ragged, but again, that's only game 2 for them.
Max Evans the board. He'll push it ahead.
Nice step.
Count up for Tyron Lawrence. He's got 8. Vanderbilt in the first half took a high volume. We got to know each other when Lindsey was playing for the Pistons, and Nate was in his high school coaching career in Romulus, Michigan.
Well, and by the numbers you said, and overall they were 3 of 22, they won't win many games. But Clemson's a good ball club. Brad Brownell's got another good team at Clemson. They defend you well. And Bama's going to continue to shoot that 3, but John Petty and company, they're going to have a better day.
Interesting to see what Alabama does from a pace standpoint. Not just the 3, but also tempo once league play starts. Back cut, Pippen into the traffic, gives it right back to Melora Brown.
Good dish.
And Melora Brown challenges it. A foul on the drive will go against Ronald Williams. It's his 4th for the junior from Killeen, Texas. How about Tyron Lawrence in this one?
It's been quite a run by Vanderbilt. Defensively, they're good. They're getting the ball out. They're scoring, making layups.
Another one coming for the freshman. He's got 8 points on 4 of 6 shooting. Pardon me, 9 on 4 of 6 plus the free throw. Thomas returns to the floor. It looks like, and not to put too much stock in one game, Sonny, against an overmatched opponent, but it looks like, if anything, Jerry Stackhouse has some real depth on this Vandy team.
Yeah, especially the guard position. Quickness out front. Probably turn this game around from, early on. I thought they weren't very good defensively, but Lawrence has been good. Trey Thomas has been good with their quickness. They've shared the basketball. They've shot it well, especially the second half.
Another assist and another 3 for Disu. He's got 17. His career high is 21.
22-point run for Vanderbilt.
Did you see I think it was a MAC game earlier this year. Jeff Bull's team went on a 40-0 run. That was maybe the week after Thanksgiving. And the interesting part is they were down. Research will be all over this as our friend Greg Campbell listens in to find this game. They were down something like 15 when the run started.
Momentum. And right now the Commodores have it. 22-0 run out of the foul line. Melora Brown, as you said before, he was at Rice. Transferred, did not play a year ago, but he practiced. Mechanical engineering major, so he was at a good place, and he is at a good place. Rice to Vanderbilt, that's pretty good academically. Either way you go.
Have you ever been in Rice's home gym?
Yes.
Doesn't look like a gym from the outside, does it?
No, it doesn't. You drive by it and you don't notice it.
And as a matter of fact, that's exactly what happened to one of Roy Williams' teams years ago. I believe it's when he was at Kansas. And the bus pulled up for shoot around. And on their way to the arena, they drove right past the gym and they pulled up in front of the library. And they went so far as to empty out of the bus and approach the library before somebody said, where are you guys going? The gym is back there.
And who was he coaching?
I think that's when he was at Kansas.
Okay, because they wouldn't be going to the library. Kind of bad thing to say as a Missouri grad, isn't it? You know, you get one shot as a Missouri grad to take it. You take it, you open it up, and you take it.
Yeah. Get your shots where you can get them. It's a Mississippi Valley State team shooting just 25% from the floor in this game. And they're harassed into a turnover and then a reach-in foul. And Vandy currently on a 24, at least if they care to. Vanderbilt with a 61-27 lead. It's been a 24-3 run for the Commodores. We were talking about that big run, historical, earlier this season. Ohio against Cleveland State. Ohio went on a 40-0 run to take control of that game. Obina off the mark, and we got a whistle and a foul to stop the clock. And Donaldson Fenord, the sophomore from Port-au-Prince, Haiti, picks up his first personal.
You know, 40 straight points, that is, you would think there'd be a free throw, a layup, or something in there, wouldn't you?
You would think.
40?
I mean, what are the odds?
Yeah.
First point for Obina. Grew up in Nigeria, played mostly soccer as a youth. He went to a basketball camp when he was 13. 1,000 kids were at this camp. Out of those 1,000, they pared it down to 50 and invited those 50 to the capital for a further camp, and that's where he was discovered. Had never thought about even leaving his hometown, let alone doing it to play basketball.
You wonder when his size, he's 6'10", 240, what his size was as a kid. When he was going through all the stuff. Where was that growth spurt? And at some point someone said, hey, let me show you another game that might be beneficial to you.
And you might be pretty good at it.
Yeah.
Ejike Obinna.
Now in his senior season. Boy, solid defense there.
Line look to the wing. 3 good. Cameron Cunningham with his first triple. Hakeem Odushipe, number 34, is on the floor for the first time for Vandy. Picked up a foul a moment ago.
McBride out front handling. He was the one on the defensive end that shut down Hunter. Now can run the point. Good pass.
Oh, well-designed play. Obinna coming off the curl. They get some size in there between Odushipe and Obinna. 6'9", 230 and 6'10", 243 anchoring the post.
Tom, the way the game is played today, especially in a league like the SEC, you've got to have different parts. There's going to be some more physical teams. There are a lot of teams that just stretch you, even with big guys, if you can't go outside. Sometimes they'll stretch big guys and make them guard outside. But if you're powerful enough and you can step in and finish around the goal, guards can find you, like Obinna does right here. Little jump hook. Easy bucket.
Brayley Albert misses the 3, got fouled on it. And that'll be on Cameron Cunningham after the shot. Here are the officials. Teddy Valentine working this game.
The bump at the end, so they'll take the ball out of bounds.
Huh. I thought, I was under the impression. So
I guess they're in the bonus.
Yeah, 1-on-1 comment. I wonder how you feel about that call as a shooter, because what we've seen from a safety standpoint being called in the last couple of years is you can't get underneath a shooter, right? You've got to give him space to land, and that's been an area of focus. So if he didn't have space to land, that's still in the act of shooting. I would think that would be a shooting foul as opposed to a bonus. How do you feel about it?
Well, I would agree with you. I don't know, when we showed that replay, he might have already landed, and then it was a bump afterwards. The other part is the shooter might have sold it well, but did he not just shoot 3 free throws?
He did. They said bonus. I don't know if we had a lane violation. It's really hard for me to see lane violations from my living room. Hunter off the heel. Wow.
Fast. That's a good pace.
Yeah. Really threading the needle, and now McBride for 3 and an injured player on the floor for Mississippi Valley State.
So the guy's just going to have to take care of the inside at times. Coach Stackhouse said he had great hands. He's good on the backside of defense, a great communicator. New faces that blend in with some guys that have been here. Again, it's not an old team, but it's a veteran team that has some experience.
They have experience, guys that were sitting out around Coach Stackhouse and know what his expectations are on a daily basis. Interesting talking with Stack before the game today. And when it comes to scheduling, mentioned the 5 games that they had canceled. an air ball from the short corner. And he said, we really talk scheduling every day. Andy Fox is on the phone trying to find games. We have opportunities to add more games, not only during the non-conference portion of the schedule with another couple weeks of that before conference play starts, but also with a built-in bye week to the SEC calendar. You want to be flexible and hold out the chance that you might add somebody there if you don't have a conference game you have to make up.
Well, it's a little bit, and I don't know if it's a for sure thing Tuesday night, but is Missouri playing Tarleton maybe Tuesday? They talked about that.
Yeah, that was Dave Matter, one of the beat writers, reported that this afternoon. I didn't see anything official from Missouri.
So your teams can add games. Tarleton was one of those teams that played Texas A&M early in the year that we saw, and I think their game maybe was moved from Gonzaga, or I mean, every team is having different issues.
Yeah.
And so it is
Tarleton's
good.
Game against Gonzaga was at least postponed, if not canceled, due to Gonzaga's outbreak that cost them the Baylor game.
So it's good when you can either get on the phone, athletic directors talk, schedule a game because it's hard to get them done and in. Soon we'll start conference play.
Andy Fox is listed as the director of scouting and technology. He was with Stacky last year. These guys are burning up the phone trying to fill in slots and make sure they get as many games in as possible. A reach-in foul on Isaac McBride, and the freshman transfer has committed his third. 7:39 to go in regulation.
In Atlanta, which is terrific, where it belongs.
By the way, update on that Tarleton schedule situation. They were supposed to play Kansas today, and that game was interrupted for some reason. Off the mark is Hunter again. 36-point lead for Vandy. They've outscored the Delta Devils 3-1 in the second half.
So you wonder in a situation like that if Tarleton was up in the area. Obviously Lawrence, Kansas is just west of Kansas City, and maybe that's how a game with Missouri could come about on Tuesday.
It's pretty amazing, isn't it? Billy Clyde picks up the phone. He says, hey, we're here. Anybody need a game?
Well, they're now Division I, so they don't want to call Rockhurst College in Kansas City, or they want to find someone that can play. So you call over to Kansas State, you call over to Council Martin at Missouri, and try to find a game.
Drew Weichert, junior from Montgomery Bell Academy in Nashville, is entered. Lob was just off the mark. Once again, Vandy without 4 key players unavailable for today's game. Commodores will be back at it on Wednesday, a Richmond team that knocked off Kentucky already. That's a noon start Wednesday right here on the SEC Network. I'll be back. Will you?
I will be back. Richmond's a good team.
I got further details on Tarleton. The positives were within the Tarleton program, so they canceled Sunday's game. Instead, Tarleton will look to add another game, presumably without those players. 3 is off the mark. Another offensive rebound for Vandy. Another 3, and that one's good. Isaac McBride, 3-time All-State player, the Arkansas Gatorade Player of the Year, coming out of Baptist Prep in Little Rock. Blocking foul on Thomas. His first.
Ball movement, try to get the defense to shift. Thomas was there, but the offensive player went sideways. Then you try to lean to get at least a piece of him.
So Devin Gordon will have another shot coming his way. He's got a team high 12 in this game. As Delta Devils get to the free throw line for the first time. Disu leading the way for Vandy with a double-double to go with 3 assists. And now Gordon with the Baker's dozen.
I have just found out that Missouri will not be playing Tarleton on Tuesday.
There you go.
I would think if you had a couple positive tests on your team, it'd be hard to schedule anybody to play you.
Well, isn't that the first
that
question that's asked of you when you pick up the phone? Hey, can we get a game? Well, I don't know. You got any positives? Well, we got a couple. Call back in a month.
And that's a part of the scheduling of any team is what protocols do each of the squads go through.
Mm-hmm.
When you're trying to put together schedules late or even on the fly.
Jerry Stackhouse said that certainly was a part of their agreement with Mississippi Valley State, making sure that protocols the Delta Devils have been following matched up with what Vanderbilt expects. Steal. And it'll go for Tyron Lawrence.
Lawrence has had a solid game. So I got to start. And again, we told you he missed the first game with a groin injury, but started this one. Been solid throughout. 12 points, 5 of 7 of shooting.
A good debut. Great defense by Vandy. And it turns into a takeaway. McBride with the steal. Weichert, transition 3. He's missed both of his attempts from deep.
Weichert's dad, Doug played. He's my age. I played back for Vandy. Now an orthopedic surgeon at Vanderbilt University. Associate professor.
Foul on the way in, and McBride will go to the free throw line.
McBride's got a bit of confidence to his game, right? He handles it, quick with his feet. Stack told us today he's just a natural scorer, natural shooter. He's got a good feel for the game.
What's the transition like to get a guy like Isaac McBride, who is, as you mentioned, has a good feel for the game as a scorer and a shooter, to get him to be a facilitator and learn the point guard position?
Well, it's not necessarily just because he's a natural scorer or shooter that he doesn't have that skill. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A guy that there are many natural scorers that are just got a great feel of the game and can deliver and pass and do those things. A lot of times with assistant coaches, always go over videos and over films, especially with guards. What do you see? Why do you see it?
Well, what they've seen, and to understand the impact on the game, late game situations, late clock situations, half or game. This is not the kind of game where you're going to get that practice.
No, it's not. No, a mistake in this game doesn't cost you. But a mistake in a game in the SEC, a simple mistake that you don't think is a big deal, can cost you a ball game.
No doubt.
And a few of those cost you a chance to make maybe a bid to the NCAA tournament.
Vandy opens with Florida on December 30th. Then they go to Rupp on Tuesday to the 5th. That's quite a 1-2 punch.
You know, Tom, let's go back to think of when you go on the road this year. If you go to Rupp, it's not really Rupp. It's Kentucky. You know, it's young guys and athletic, and it's Cal on the sideline, but it's not a packed house. There'll be a lack of an intimidation factor from any of the places that are so difficult to play in the SEC. So really, as many coaches said, you've got to have energy from your own team.
It's an interesting point. The Rupp Arena, like every place, is going to look the same during the game as it does during shoot-around for the most part.
Yep. Quiet.
know that the Delta Devils have had back-to-back scoring possessions in the second half. 41 missed field goals, 0 second chance points for the Delta Devils. Rolls home. Nice play, Tyron Lawrence.
That's a tough finish. Yeah, that's a tough finish. He's got a solid body. You take a look at his numbers physically. 6'4", about 195 pounds. That's a solid when he's going to the hoop. He can draw contact. He can finish it. We've seen that tonight. Or this afternoon. 14 points in his first effort as a Commodore in the Vanderbilt uniform. 6 of 8 from the field. He's got 4 rebounds, 4 assists.
Traylon Smith with the 3. And we'll get a sub in for Vandy, and they'll just keep this rolling along. It'll be interesting to see as Adelman enters what Vandy does now that we've seen, and obviously they've seen what Lawrence can do, but Lawrence and Pippen in the backcourt together in big games.
Choices, depth, got to have it in the SEC in case someone has a bad night, foul trouble, injuries. We've seen a lot of guys in the backcourt tonight or this afternoon for Vanderbilt that I think we'll see a lot of minutes from these young guys.
Oduchipe gets one to go, his first bucket as a Commodore. Wow. That was an aggressive line, like going for the green and 2 over the lake. Smith gives it up. Weichert down the lane. And Drew Weichert gets a bucket. Make Dr. Weichert proud.
As long as he doesn't have to perform surgeries, correct?
Yeah.
Watching his son play.
What should people take away from this performance by Vandy today?
Well, it's hard to take away a lot, except there's some new faces. The veterans that came back up their game a little bit. We'll see more when we see them Wednesday. But I think what I come away with, Tom, is the fact that the young guys that came off the bench, well, Lawrence started. He's a freshman. Trey Thomas, a freshman, I thought he was good. I thought McBride was really good, active. Defensively, I thought all those guys defensively more impressed me than the offensive end, and I think that's where Stack was thinking to focus more at the start of this season.
So Vanderbilt